Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the next session. So today's session will be about MENA TV Market, what growth opportunities for a mixed TV market to deliver the best viewing experience. This panel discussion will be sponsored by Eutelsat. And for this panel, we have a speaker. Our two speakers are Ghassan Murad, Managing Director, Middle East at Eutelsat, and Matt Crisp, Director of Analytics and Research at Bean Media Group. This panel discussion will be moderated by Heba Korayem, Content Marketing Consultant at H Consult Media. All yours, Heba, you can start.
Hello, welcome Ghassan and Matt and all the audience. Lovely to be here and to see you today. Today is going to be a very, very interesting panel discussion because we will be talking about different growth opportunities, and it's relevant to a wide range of the audience, whether you're a broadcaster, a pay TV network, a free TV network, content creators, streaming platforms. It's very informative and a lot of good information coming from Matt and Ghassan. We're going to start off by talking about the evolution of FTA offers in the MENA region. You know, all the new stuff that's coming out from that Ghassan will talk about. Also, we'll be talking about DTH operators and pay TV strategies. And then we'll move on to another topic, which is the role of content definition in pay and free offers. And I know that's an interesting one because it hasn't been talked about too much. And also non-linear and OTT distribution in the region and how there could be a mixed market and opportunity for both to coexist. So I'm going to start by you, Ghassan. This question is for you. How do you see the offer of free-to-air channels evolving in the next few years? And how can operators improve the quality of the services for the user, improving the user experience?
Thank you, Heba. And thank you for inviting me to this panel. So basically, we Eutelsat, we are here in the industry and the MENA since 20 years. And when we came to this market, we came with a background of experience in Europe. And at that time, we didn't really expect how much the satellite TV business will fare here. So we have fantastic success in the MENA region, especially on the free-to-air side. So to give you an idea, we are today around 1,000 channels broadcasted through the 7/8 West position, mostly free-to-air, and mostly very good quality free-to-air. So we from the big name like NBC, Torotana, the others. What we are trying to, how we can improve and what kind of experience, I would say, the consumers here in MENA, we would like to evolve their experience is that in two ways. The first is, of course, the quality. So we consider satellite our key strengths that we can deliver for millions of homes, especially for live events, super HD quality, with a simple dish pointed to our satellite everywhere in the territory. So for us is a really key strength that I think we still keep it, and we will keep it for the next 5 years. On this one, many channels went for HD, and we are seeing also more and more 4K request, and we think that with the World Cup, the 4K window of opportunity will be there. But most importantly, also we are working on making the user experience for the free-to-air consumers much better in terms of interface on their set-top box. So basically today the set-top box is mostly like an old FM radio. So it's basically it's like you scan the frequency and you get the channels. We are trying to make it much more appealing with a new feature called Sat TV that we launched last month. This Sat TV, first of all, will organize all the channels country by country in a certain way that it will make sense for the end user. So if you are in Algeria or if you are in Saudi, you will get your top channels well sorted out, and without all the hassle of sorting out the channel manually. And second, it will come with an EPG feature. So this is also first in the region, where we will have a program guide, electronic program guide, where people can see what they are watching, but also can see what's next in the 1 hour or 2 hours. So I think this is a long overdue in MENA. We should have it long time ago, but as a start, I would say we have more ambitions also after to make it more appealing, this kind of value proposition. I will not talk too much. Maybe I have a lot of things to do, but let's say in clear, we are working on those two, let's say, aspects: quality and the user experience, by standardizing or organizing the free-to-air ecosystem.
So Hassan, before we move on to Matt, you mentioned that you're improving the user experience by presetting the countries. So you have a favorites list for the country, and you also have EPG. So presumably these boxes have the capacity to take on the logos, the EPG information. Is that something that makes the box more expensive in the market, or is it just a standard box? How do you?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what we did is really we only standardized with using the same hardware today that is present with all the free-to-air, let's say, cheap boxes today available in the market, and using only few megabit for signaling, we are able to do so. So basically, there is no any extra cost for the consumers with those features. It will be for their benefit, but also for the benefit of the broadcasters, because we think that this is the first step, of course, for a broadcaster to be also give him the visibility first by saying, like, this is your channel number, instead of promoting a frequency. Now we are promoting a channel number. And also for certain big groups, we can also be able to regionalize some channels. So basically, we can say, for example, for Algeria, you need to pick this feed, and for maybe Saudi Arabia, another feed. So I think this will allow them also to generate more advertising in the long run.
Mm-hmm. How often is that information updated on the box?
It's a good question. I think there's a continuous update, but it should be like, let's say, if you want to change something, it should be within 5 minutes, things will be changed. But I would say to be confirmed by our technical team. But like this signaling is always sent to the set-top box, and there's a continuous refreshing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Hassan. Matt, I'm going to let you introduce yourself also, and your role at BN. And also, I'm going to ask you this question: what is the overall situation of pay TV markets in the MENA region with what's happening over the past year, and how did the past year affect your operations?
Sure, thanks, Hiba. Hello, everybody. So yes, I'm Matthew Crisp. I run the analytics and research function for BN Media Group out of Doha. I moved here just 18 months ago, and it's been a journey of learning about one of the more fascinating markets that I've worked in. We have built a great team working here in Doha, and we also have people working in London and Paris. And recently we completed our first prospect and headroom segmentation study in the MENA region. So we really learned at a very deep and granular level about the different opportunities for BN, but also for other subscription products in the MENA region. So broadly speaking, I think we've come across three main groups that we think offer great growth opportunities. So there's a low-cost mass market group that predominantly in North Africa, but are put off a bit by large upfront payments or long-term commitments, but they obviously are very content hungry and currently very well served by free-to-air. I think the product that Ghassan's talking about will appeal very, very well to that group. Quite hard for us to address. There's a new segment, the OTT segment, that's really exploded in the last 12 months with the effect of COVID and obviously sport going away, but a lot of people being at home and obviously searching for content and finding new ways to subscribe to it and access it. It's not as simple as saying they're online, they're digital savvy, they're young, they want subscriptions just for them. There's a demand for these types of subscriptions for a family that I think has been really interesting for us to discover, and the differences between North Africa and how you serve these customers versus the GCC, and how you find them, whether direct or through partnerships with telcos, has been very fascinating to learn about. And of course, the segment that OSN and BN have done very well in, which is the big family segment, with a lot of disposable income, incredibly content hungry. What we've seen is that the last two segments I talk about also obviously have a massive appetite for pirated content. It's a major threat for our business. We've spoken very publicly about it, and there's a very interesting panel after this to discuss the impact in more detail. But it's not just about saving money. What we learned is it's also about this demand for having all your content in one place. There's a real appetite for aggregation in this region, and it's not clear at the moment who's going to play that aggregating role. I think BN has an opportunity. Obviously, the telcos have opportunities. The pirated offer will always be able to offer things that the premium pay offers can't, in terms of being able to grab content from France and grab content from the US and put it all in one place that legally and commercially it's not viable for us to do. But we can compete with them in other ways. And Ghassan mentioned one of the best ways BN can compete is by providing obviously the best sports rights in the world, but in a very premium 4K way, as we have done in leading the region to deliver that you just can't get from streaming or from on-demand services. It's live, you can rely on it, and it's the best quality picture. So sports, obviously still the biggest driver of pay TV and subscription content in this region, and there's a big advantage and opportunity for BN to keep growing there. In terms of, you mentioned this year, obviously COVID had a big impact on our subscriptions. There have been other crises and economic issues, and obviously the blockade rolls on, although the news has been positive lately. If I have to thank Jared Kushner for anything, I'd be happy to thank him for stopping the blockade. But for our business in particular, it was an opportunity to show off our entertainment content and to show off our product suite that perhaps in the past has been hidden in a different room of the house, where sports is the main content and only content, in fact, that was consumed. And we really saw massive increases in viewing to our non-sport content through that period, and very pleasingly seen, obviously sports viewing has come back with a vengeance in the last couple of months, but seeing that non-sport content still driving viewership, our kids content with Jim and Brian, our premium series content and our movies content still doing very well. And we think we've found a bigger part of the viewing, share of the viewing in BN homes around the globe, around the region, sorry. Our key opportunity is to get more of that viewing, and through partnerships, through acquisition, through production, I think we can try to do that.
So Matthew, you mentioned that you saw a spike in entertainment content. Is there any particular genres that you feel from analyzing the viewership that kind of has a potential for acquisitions or for co-productions or an opportunity there? Like, is there a specific genre that or language or a demand for a specific type of content?
There's certainly differences across the region. Here in the Gulf, the demand is for premium Western content in English, but also I think there's a growing demand for original Arabic content as well. And obviously, the older, slightly older segments, more traditional TV viewers are watching a huge amount of Arabic and Turkish content in the region. I won't say anything that's new there. Obviously in North Africa, French language content is critical. For us, BN can't own every genre or every subgenre. We obviously would like to be able to facilitate content consumption in a very broad way, because there is a massive demand for diverse genres in this region. I think we obviously own sports, and that's always been our priority. We're trying to build out kids, and through Jim and Brian, we believe we have a great offer of more traditional Arabic content for children. I think also it's about product. You know, people are finding content, they want it to be easy to consume, and beIN's got a bit of a way to go to improve away from just the linear channels. Obviously, sport is linear, it's live. On-demand content, we've got a lot of opportunity to grow there, and content needs to match product and user experience.
Yeah. Ghassan, I'm intrigued by the 4K, and you know, Matt mentioned a lot about the competitive edge being sports in 4K and how they can, you know, that's something to fight piracy with, and definitely I see that as an opportunity. But I wanted to ask you what challenges can be highlighted in the overall DTH distribution world when it comes to migrating to HD or to 4K.
Yeah, like clearly 4K like is a clear game changer, especially for our client like beIN, where really they have very premium sport content, where you can see real difference between HD and 4K, especially when there's a fast-moving picture. When you look at, let's say, the end users and the penetration of 4K, our last survey, for example, in Saudi Arabia, it shows that we reach almost 50% of 4K penetration of TV sets. Even when you go to any shop, like I think today is by default, you are buying 4K TV sets. So it's clear that I would say we are really ready in terms of tech, set-top box, and even in terms of transmission, because you know satellite is very easy. Like we need just to dedicate maybe more bandwidth, but technology-wise, it's proven, it's tried like 2 years, 3 years before. So where is I would say maybe the bottleneck is. On the production and on the content distribution till it reaches satellite. So I would say the easiest way, and I think Matt also knows better than me, that sports is very easy to shoot and distribute in 4K, because like you need just to change a couple of hardware and you have a 4K signal. Whereas upgrading all the old archive and all the old content and making a 4K channel, this is more challenging. I don't say impossible, but it's more challenging. So this is why I think as a start, we will see maybe, especially during the World Cup, some new 4K channel coming. Of course, there's beIN, but driving on this occasion, I would say many local sport channels also, especially in the Gulf, I'm expecting that they will adopt 4K, even for free to air. And we are here to support them. So basically, we have all the technical expertise to support this trend. That I would say it should give maybe in 5 years the same trend as we saw in on the HD migration, because all the criteria for 4K success there, like content by then it will be almost mostly 4K. You have a lot of large screens sold, so you know, it's crazy when you think about the screen size. But now you go to the shop and the one that you used to be a very large screen, you see it like small because it has a bigger and bigger. So I think, yeah, like 4K value proposition, I would say is there. It's like, it's not 3D. For me, it's not 3D. It's really something that will exist in the next 4 years.
Well, we've seen a huge move from, you know, recently from SD channels to HD. So definitely, like you said, there is appetite to go even higher. And like you said, you know, there is with sports, that's something to gain, obviously, in 4K. That's a competitive edge, but also with like you also previously mentioned, news channels. when it comes to free-to-air, free TV. That's also a big demand for that. Matt, I wanted to ask you also, Ghassan mentioned that 50% penetration of 4K TV sets in Saudi Arabia. That's huge, and among the households here. So we can imagine that more content would be broadcasted in this definition. How can we explain the tardiness of content providers and how could things evolve in the coming years in providing that definition?
Well, I think obviously there's a growing customer demand for 4K, particularly obviously in sport first. From us, we do see, other than our sports rights, the next biggest driver of acquisition is picture quality. And that makes sense when you think about comparing our competitor is essentially piracy, or in some cases free-to-air viewing, things like the World Cup. If your team's playing in the World Cup, then you'll get to watch, your team matches on free-to-air, but Egyptians will still subscribe to get access to better picture quality in 4K. I think, in some cases it won't make economic sense to make that investment. If your business model is ad funded, then there may not be higher advertising. If your business model is subscription online, it might be that you don't notice that people might not have a good enough stream buffering quality to watch it. So we'll wait until the business model and the customers are demanding it, and smart platforms will notice that point when their customers are demanding it. As I said, beam was ahead of the curve before the World Cup, and 2016 launching a 4K media server. Obviously we've got another major World Cup coming up in a couple of years here, and we've got very high ambitions for technological innovation for our subscribers to make sure they can watch that World Cup in absolute, amazing picture quality and other broadcast innovations as well. But yeah, it's a key thing.
Do you feel that this plays a role in? Sorry, do you feel that it plays a role in in retaining and churn management and retaining your subscriber base? The definition from the stats that you see.
It's definitely an acquisition driver, that's for sure. Yeah, people will subscribe to us. They say one of the key reasons is to get a better picture quality, and that used to mean HD, and now it means 4K.
Excellent. We're going to talk about the mix of non-linear, the linear and OTT distribution. Ghassan, how is Eutelsat planning to integrate non-linear content in the satellite distribution? How do you plan on doing that? And on the long run, what role could satellite take in taking into account the low penetration of broadband in the region?
Yeah, indeed, it's a very good question. Thank you, Eva, for that. Basically, we are, as Eutelsat and as a satellite industry itself, we are also providing broadband. So I really like to remind that we just launched one big broadband satellite for Europe and Africa. We are also having plan for a very high throughput satellite for broadband. So broadband value proposition, especially for regions where the population density is scarce, like Africa, like some countries in the Middle East, is very costly to roll out fiber for the million of homes scattered on the territory. So for sure we are working on it. We have some regulatory hurdle in the region, but I would say we will achieve it. So this is, I would say, the long-term answer to your question is that we will get there where we can provide a full broadband experience with a full convergent media experience. So integrating all the VOD and the live stream on satellite. But till then, what we are trying to do, as I said, is first that, for example, when we are getting the EPG data and with the program guide, a very accurate program guide, the end users will be very easy for them to record by just inserting a USB dongle on the boxes. they can pre-record, and they can, even after in a certain intelligent way, we can ourselves, for some broadcasters, make a private library of some push VOD and catch-up services. So this is on, I would say, on our roadmap, and this is very easy and done in many other countries. And even for, I would say, pay TV client. Give an example. For example, in Africa, they are doing all their VOD by satellite. So it's basically a push VOD where we push the content to a local library of storage on the boxes. And you know that the cost of storage is very cheap. Like every year it is divided by 2. So yeah, like for me, this is more where we are going, is really going through this evolution of making our free-to-air set-top box more intelligent, and are able to provide more services to our end user, but also to the broadcasters. Yeah. And then after, of course, for the broadcasters, once we have this connected environment of boxes with all the VOD and stuff, we will be able also to provide some data for the advertising, for target advertising, for everything, or audience measurement, everything that I would say a TV broadcaster or TV advertiser is looking for, and is not today, unfortunately, present in the market.
Well, obviously that's going to be a dream come true when you start talking about getting data for advertisers to use. Matt, I know that you you do a lot of analytics and a lot of tracking viewership habits for decision making. When it comes to additional OTT service from your side, are they meant to complement currently? Are they meant to complement the current offering of BN, or could they be seen as a standalone product that you can monetize separately?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've spoken to BN Strength in Sports. We have built out also an excellent entertainment and kids library, but what we're seeing, and certainly from the research we've done since COVID, but also before, is a growing penetration of other pay services amongst our base. So obviously Netflix, OSN, Shahid, Stars Play as well. And certainly, that's meeting a demand for a style of viewing and a demand for content. For us, obviously on the sports side, we provide a TV Everywhere service, and you can subscribe directly to BN Connect. That obviously allows our subscribers to take their football, their tennis or basketball with them as they go out of the home or around the home. We see that as an excellent complement. It's a core requirement of a pay TV subscription now, I think, to be able to take it with you. Where we've seen, and from our current research, is this growing opportunity for both sports OTT, but also for a complete OTT solution, the best entertainment, the best series, and the best sport in one place. I think that's really exciting, given that we don't have a foothold in that market at the moment. So yeah, it's a complement. Is it obviously cannibalization is the other big question, certainly on our commercial teams' minds as well. And for the moment, we're not seeing a lot of cannibalization. I think this region has a huge amount of room to grow, and I'm sure OTT revenues will catch up to, and perhaps even in the very long term surpass DTH revenues. So BN needs to be catching both waves. Are
there any plans for riding the OTT originals wave?
Well, there was a really interesting panel just before this one discussing what it takes to create original content for this region, and certainly some platforms in this region need to do that in order to compete with the coming barrage of direct consumer offerings from all of the major studios. It's no longer sustainable to assume that you can keep renewing your content output deals with the the big US studios. And also it's exciting to create your own content. It's a journey. It's a really difficult journey. You can fail, with your first slate, and it can really, cause management to reconsider. But I think there's also a lot of growth opportunity there. As I said before, BN doesn't have to own every genre, but we do have a significant pay TV business in Turkey, Digiturk, and obviously Digiturk business creates original Turkish content. Turkish content is very well in this region. I think there are opportunities there for BN to collaborate between the two regions to create originals.
Excellent. We have 15 minutes to go. So to the audience, if you have any questions, this is the time to write them in the little box there, and we'll get to them in a second. But before that, Ghassan, you mentioned opportunities for advertising, to improve advertising in the region, and to properly have an opportunity to have a sort of data-driven decision-making in the region. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? I mean, about how this can evolve?
Sure. So look, the advertising, TV advertising, especially in this region, is characterized, of course, by the satellite still, because satellite TV is still used by 98% of the homes in MENA region. So basically, satellite is still dominant as a way to watch TV. But the issue here is that because it's a wide beam, one coverage, some big groups, especially on free-to-air, they cannot segment country by country these exports. So I would say the first step that we created, and we were the pioneer in this industry, is that we created two regional beams. One is called East Beam, and the other one West Beam for Maghreb, where some of our client broadcasters they can put different feeds on and with different ads, and sometimes different programming, because there's a 3-hour, even 4-hour time difference between, for example, here in Dubai and Morocco. So this was our first step, but of course, there's still a lot of room to get more efficient, especially now with online advertising. I would say that the client or the people that want to advertise, they want to know the efficiency and the targeting of it. So basically, and here we come back to this set-top box ecosystem. Our work on the set-top box ecosystem is very important also. To first of all, it needs to be appealing for the end users, because this is how we engage with them. And second, it needs to have a business case. So the business case should come from target advertising. And there's a two-way. We will generate some data by connecting some of the set-top boxes, of course, to internet. And connecting a box is not really difficult. I would say the most difficult is to convince a consumer to connect his box, but technology-wise, it's not so complicated. So as an industry, together with the broadcasters, we need to find a hook where, is it for online VOD, or is it for pure organizing or making a more personalized the TV experience? I would say we will get there, but we need to work as an industry between us, operators, the broadcasters, and maybe also the advertisers, to find a way to make it win-win for all stakeholders. But technology-wise, I would say we are not so far. Technology-wise, we have all the ingredients to make it happen.
The trick is to get them to connect their devices to the internet.
Yeah.
Matt, I think on the same topic, obviously a lot of your devices, your set-top boxes, and a lot of them I would imagine the users even are more tech savvy probably, and you know, are they able to? Do you have more? Is that kind of up and running for you, the data side and collection of information that way, and the opportunities for advertising?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, we have a significant number of connected set-top boxes in the region throughout both the GCC and North Africa. So we work with Nielsen to receive, you know, return path data from those, and we obviously know exactly what our subscribers are viewing, which is you know, a recent development over the last 3 years. I can't claim responsibility for that one, but certainly we use that every day to inform decision making around content acquisition, programming, scheduling, and it is, you know, in this region we're blessed obviously to have that. There are really exciting opportunities for that. Obviously advertising, you know, you've seen what Sky has done in the UK with Sky AdSmart. Targeted advertising for this region would be a great way to make our channels more available for selling spots, for example, in North Africa, where perhaps the budgets are a bit smaller and pan-regional budgets don't exist. And also different styles of advertising and different tolerance levels, types of products and things. It would certainly be a great revenue opportunity for us. And, you know, in this region, we have seen TV advertising revenues significantly decline over the last kind of 4 or 5 years through economic shocks and through I think also, you know, the general drift towards digital, but accelerated drift in MENA because of the lack of data. I think if there were one body, that would be fantastic. But you know, obviously the road is littered with research agencies who've tried to do that and failed for various reasons. Hopefully the recent changes with MBC and Schwery might create an opportunity for that to be revisited. But yeah, obviously more data would help TV to defend the revenue share we have.
Mm-hmm. Well, we definitely can see that going in the right direction, hopefully within, you know, the next few years with the changes that's happening. Do we have any questions from the audience? We do have about 10 minutes left. And on the same topic, Ghassan, well, a slightly different topic, regarding set-top boxes. Now, you mentioned something earlier about the how you know, how they're organized on the set-top, pre-organized, and I have to ask you this question: how will it work for the from broadcasters' perspective? Can they actually choose? Because right now they're you know, they go by slots, right? And then it's more favorable to go closer to a specific channel slots. So how are you going to navigate that? How is it currently? Can they actually choose what slot to be in and what number? Are you going to start selling numbers? How is it going to work in the future?
Yeah. So thank you for the question. Today we looked at really what how to make the user experience better. So our guidance principle was really to make it like something logical for the end users. So this is why we base it, almost base it, it depends, there are always some exception, but on viewership data that we have. So basically, and then after on sorting out the different genre. So basically, for example, the kids channels are together, the news channels are together. So for people can let's say easily navigate and find their content. So to go more in details, there will be country by country. The first 100 numbers are, let's say, customized for the country, but from 100 to, let's say, 1,000, it will be common sorting for all the countries, because we wanted also not to for a broadcaster to be able also to communicate one number across different countries. So I think it will be a huge game changer for the end user, because for the first time there will be something that is already sorted out very easily. And as I said, we are putting all the effort to make the consumer happy. So, for example, the top channels, we will favorize the HD quality, like I would say we cannot accept an SD quality on the top 10 or top 20, something like this. So yeah, like we are doing our best to make it really first of all appealing, because at the end we are not going into pay TV. So it should be a pull from the consumer saying like, I like this user experience and I want to buy it. And the set-top box importer, they will ask for it because all this is done in China. So it's only features that need to be put on the chipset, and once it's on chipset and activated, it's available. So yeah, we target really millions of boxes, and we like our aim is to make it a standard industry in the region.
Well, I personally experienced the box, Hassan, and I have to say I really like the Arabic EPG. I think it's a very detailed, with the icons and everything. Totally recommend everybody to try it out, especially if you're Arabic speaker, you're gonna love it. So we have less than 5 minutes
I'm not,
to go.
my aim is not really to push it, but frankly speaking, we will never be competing with the premium pay TV offers for sure. Like as we said, being OSN, they have very premium offers, especially on the sports, on top of the user experience that they provide already since years. But really, in a day, I would like, and you said, Matt, that there's a lack of aggregation here in the market. That a day like a day that we come and we do a funnel, so you can acquire or upsell. We can upsell to your offers part of the big free-to-air math that is today in MENA. And for me, is still consider a big potential for pay TV.
Definitely. We do have less than 5 minutes to go. So, Matt, any concluding remarks about what we spoke about, the growth opportunities in the mixed TV market in MENA?
Sure. Look, Ben's obviously very optimistic about both the DTH and OTT opportunities in the MENA region. Last year, or this year, it's about to be last year, thankfully. We had the Euros and the Copa America tournaments were delayed. Obviously, hopefully next summer, and also the Olympics. From then on, going through the AFCON into the World Cup, it's going to be the greatest 2 years of sport in one 2-year period ever. BN obviously is a fantastic sports channel with all of those rights, and we're really hoping to capitalize that by growing obviously our content, but also the user experience and the way that people consume content through BN in a connected way. On demand, more genres to grow our business in this region. OTT is really exciting. It's been fascinating listening to the other panelists about their growth stories in this region. It needs to mature. The customer relationships need to become more valuable. Customers right now sometimes don't even know where they got a subscription from. It could have been from their telco, from a retail. It could be, so we need to improve those one-to-one relationships between platforms. And I think BN is a very strong brand and opportunity to do that. And then, Ghassan talks about partnerships with free-to-air and other partnerships, but there's a lot of amazing free-to-air content. It gets viewed a lot through our boxes. I think if you look to other more mature markets, there are a lot of partnerships that mean that content gets served to a pay TV audience in a premium way. And I think that would be really exciting here as well. So speaking personally, I see a huge amount of known maturity that could come into this market, but also there's a lot of unknowns is such a diverse region. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ghassan and Matt, for joining us today and for the very informative session. Thank you so much to the audience. You have a wonderful day. We need to wrap up now because of the time. I'll let you, Ghassan and Matt, to greet the audience.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.